Right. Hi. Okay. So there's this book, Emotional Intelligence. I've just been reading it. I probably should have read it a long time ago. It's one of those books. It's like kind of iconic, from the mid 90s, from about 95. I mean, people are using all sorts of jargon from it. Now, since it come out, it's probably obviously quite a popular book. It says it's a bestseller, #1 bestseller. In some ways, I can't recommend it highly enough. You know, it's just one of those books that's probably worth 10 any other books that you're ever going to read. That's if you can read it, because it says like on there, it says like, well, why it can matter more than IQ. Why it can matter more than IQ. So the thing about it is, the interesting thing about this book is sort of like a paradox. A lot of the time, people with high IQs haven't got very good emotional intelligence. I've talked about this before in other videos. I think people like myself overcompensate with the IQ, because we didn't get a very good emotional start in life, sort of thing. So anyway, there was something in here that kind of bothered me a bit. Men who are high in emotional intelligence are socially poised, outgoing and cheerful, not prone to fearfulness or worried rumination. They have a notable capacity for commitment to people or causes, for taking responsibility and for having an ethical outlook. They are sympathetic and caring in their relationships. Their emotional life is rich but appropriate. They are comfortable with themselves, others, and the social universe they live in. So that's like summing up men with high emotional intelligence. Now, the problem I have with that is that it's about, you know, what I've talked about in doing the work and being aware of things like the cannabis laws. The cannabis cures cancer, and it's against the law to prescribe it to people. I mean, if you're comfortable in that kind of like environment, that to me is a sign that there's something wrong, you know. And the same with the fluoride. You know, the fluoride. You know, the industrial, medical, military complex, whatever you want to call it. You know, it doesn't want to have to pay all the money to get rid of chemicals like industrial waste chemicals that are like really poisonous and biohazards like mercury and fluorine. So it dumps them into people, into humans, in order to save money, but also create loads of like poor health for people. Like I've got all these mercury fillings that I had as a child, and they basically I didn't have any tooth problems. You know, it was supposedly, oh, you just have to go to the dentist for a checkup. You know, and they do these X-rays, and they see these little shadows on the X-rays, and they just drill out. I mean, it's a two-dimensional like picture of your tooth, but it's a three-dimensional object. So they see a little shadow, they have to drill the whole tooth out and then fill it up with mercury amalgam. You know, and it's just like now, you know, 40 years later, my teeth are just falling apart, and there's all this mercury in there. It's all rotting. I spent my whole life like with all the symptoms of mercury poisoning. You know, it's like murdering someone while keeping them alive still, but basically you've totally ruined their life. Dear. So yeah, although there's a lot of interesting stuff in this book, I mean, I really do recommend it. It's not, I'm not saying I don't recommend it. There's loads of valuable information, especially for your, for the astral plane work. It's really important. It's the foundation of the work, really. So this sort of thing, I should have read it when I was doing the work initially, like 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, whenever it was, just over 4 or 5 years ago. On the other hand, yeah, as I say, you probably need quite a high IQ to read it, or you need a dictionary. You might have to, or you can use the computer to check out some of the words and stuff, and be prepared to spend months reading it. I started it. It's one of those books I'm having to struggle my way through. I don't think I've even got to grips with it properly yet. So I'm just over. I'm about halfway through if you don't include the notes and appendixes. But yeah, I'm already starting to feel it's one of those books where I'm not really. I don't know if I'm actually like getting the grasping it properly. I feel like I'm going to have to read it again. Now I've got my theories about things, like if you start off with if you can have a high IQ, it might be because you haven't had an emotional development as a baby and a young, like a toddler, and so your mind has to try and compensate. So you develop a high IQ. You become like this isn't going to be the same for everyone. It's only a theory. It may just be a tendency. It might increase your natural IQ by 5 or 10 points, maybe. Just because you're trying to think about what's going wrong. Why are you not getting this emotional connection? Also, for me, I think I've got like an O-type mother. I'm an A-type. I've got A-type blood with an O-type mother. At least I suspect that's what's going on. And my dad's A-type as well. My dad was pretty much just crazy. Oh dear. Oh, there's some interesting stuff in this book about getting to know your emotions. So keeping like I think, for example, responsibility. I'm putting it in my own words, but having responsibility for your emotional state. I like to get stuff off my chest. You probably have noticed if you watch my videos a bit. I like to get stuff off my chest. That's one of the things I've been doing a lot with the work, actually, is to get stuff off my chest, things that bother me. Because I am aware that, having got it off my chest, I feel like I'm more in a position, in a place where I'm ready to grow and develop more, But that's one of the big things about like making, in developing your emotional intelligence. The other interesting thing, is that you can develop it. You can't develop your IQ so much, but you can develop your emotional intelligence. So becoming aware of your emotions, identifying them when they happen, and sort of like you can do things like write about them, write them down, or just talk to yourself about them, or talk to someone else about them. Obviously, people that haven't got emotional, the people who need this sort of help the most, are going to be the people that find it difficult to ask for help, and and talk to people. This is one of the things. It's why I'm associating it with the work, is because it's work. Yeah. Okay. It's work, so it's hard work. It takes work. That's why I'm struggling through this book. Normally I read a book like that big in like a couple of days, and now it's taken me a few days, 3-4 days, and I'm Still only not even halfway through. But yeah, it's already though, some of the benefits I've noticed just from reading it for over a few days is that I'm taking more responsibility for my emotions and that means your mood overall, and that impacts your health and your whole perception of reality. So it can be really extremely handy, a book like this, to develop your foundational skills. How you feel about stuff. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there then, because that's about all I want to say. All right. Thanks for watching.